I also that it says like may contain like sexual
what do
themes.
you mean?
Have you seen the movie or not? Who should I ask? If not you, the rating, who should I ask whether or not this contains sexual themes?
I think this had sexual themes, but I zoned out like halfway through. I had popcorn. I don't know.
Brunch.
Hit it, boys. Happy All Hallows Eve, everybody.
You really nailed that one.
The ghosts and the ghouls
Happy.
are fluttering.
I wish that we
sky.
celebrated.
No, finish your point. Yes.
I wish that we celebrated Day of the Dead instead of Halloween. Day of the Dead looks like a good ass time. You still haven't seen Coco, huh?
No, but I know Day of the Dead has some more intricate mask situations
Yeah.
and all of that.
It's a more like culturally meaningful thing.
Yeah, well,
Halloween is just like the most
Halloween doesn't
surface
mean
level
anything to anybody unless it's against your religion, in which case it's something that you don't do.
Well, no. Here's what it means: Halloween means something to you if somebody goes as something that is offensive to you.
Yes.
Then Halloween means a lot to you.
So far, I haven't been on the lookout, but so far, really, the big wave of Halloween has already passed because that was over the weekend. I haven't heard of any dumb athletes
you
doing
missed one.
offensive. Oh, who?
Shaun White.
What did he do?
He went as Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Which
and what was wrong with that?
we always talk about it. I thought it was kind of funny. I actually couldn't wait to bring it up because we always talk about there's always somebody who does blackface.
Right.
He avoided the blackface character in that movie,
And
then he went to the next offensive
That's
one.
right. Yeah, that movie has blackface, and just basically don't do Tropic Thunder stuff.
Yeah.
What did you
credit
think of
to
Tropic Thunder?
I haven't seen it like in full in like a long time.
It's
if I've
like
ever seen it
really
in full.
funny, but I just know I know it's like not a good movie.
Really? I
Yeah.
think that people think that it is a good movie.
People love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny. It's like, okay.
It's very funny, yeah.
It's funny that he went as the second most offensive character in that movie, arguably.
Yeah.
And still caught the biggest backlash of this year so far.
Yeah.
Still early though. We're still not even to Halloween yet.
I don't know. I think that we are safe. Like the bad stuff happens, or the big costumes, you blow it out over the weekend.
That's true.
And this wasn't like a sort of splitsies thing where you could grab 2 weekends out of it. It was pretty clear this past weekend was going to be the one. We dressed up for Halloween.
Yep.
Our plan was to like do a fun Halloween day and like spend the day in costumes and like go out and do all these things. And then the Red Sox played an 18-inning game the night before. And when I woke up on Saturday, it was like 2 p.m. and it was dark. And because like it had like that post-rain thing that was going on. And it was just the least excited for a day to like experience a day as I've ever been. So we ended up just like getting dinner and watching a baseball game in costumes.
Our day got sabotaged in like a couple of different directions because one, there was like a nor'easter and it was pouring all day.
Yep.
And the Red Sox playing till 4:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning the previous night really just threw a wrench into plans. But it was a good time.
Yeah, we were like, you know what? No one's gonna be out in Fenway tonight because it's rainy and gross and they're not clinching. So Fenway might actually be a pretty survivable place. And it was a fine time. Ate food, didn't get very drunk. It was like it was exactly what I wanted to do. Went home, watched Mamma Mia 2 in its
Did you really?
entirety. Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
And I was like very sober by the time the movie was over, and I was like sick. Cool night.
Did you buy it on DVD?
I bought it on demand.
Oh,
Because now I have the sing-along options on my TV.
Really?
Yeah. I can, there's like, I don't know what it is, but there's like a sing-along feature. I was going to fire it up the other night. I couldn't sleep, but I figure that would be a real racket.
Well, I think that we got to have like a brunch sleepover.
Yeah.
And do some more, second brunch sleepover with Mamma Mia themed.
I've watched it twice since I bought it. And 2 points have really been hammered home to me about Mamma Mia 2. We did not talk about what a difference making the sequel to a PG movie, PG-13, does. Like, I think that's the biggest difference in why that movie is so great, other than they got rid of Meryl Streep. I think that the first one, and I need to check if the first one's even PG. I think it's got to be PG, right? It's like clean and corny and everything. And then the second one, they ramp it up pretty quick. They got like students sexually harassing teachers. You got Be Still My Beating Vagina out of Christine Baranski. That was like...
No, the first one's PG-13 too.
How?
I have no idea.
May contain some boring elements not suited for children.
Yeah, I think they just like referred to the fact that sex was had, and they were like, "Oh, got to make a PG-13."
Oh, you know what? That's what am I? The first one is slut shaming out the wazoo.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah.
I was thinking about that when I went to I
think I've honestly like erased the first Mamma Mia from my memory.
Yeah, it's trash.
Yeah, I don't need it. And
Yeah.
the second one acts as a very effective standalone.
Oh yeah, well it ignores that Walters and Bill in the first one, for all you know, Walters and Bill have never met.
Who's
And
Walters?
I don't know what her last name is, or first name.
The
Christine
third friend?
Baranski is one, and then the other one is something Walters.
You're just calling her Barbara Walters?
Yes,
Nice.
Barbara Walters and Bill. They tie in this love storyline between them in the second one that does not at all make sense if you do that to the first one. But yeah, I when I was in the movies today, I was seeing First Man, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But there's a preview for the Green Book or something.
Oh, with Mahershala Ali, and Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, and it looks great. And I forget what the rating is on it. It's either PG-13 or R, but it's said in it. It's like because there's a lot of racism in this movie.
Really?
So like certain things, even if like certain words aren't said and everything, I feel like certain content,
It's like racist themes.
right? Like yeah, like if you have to watch like some bad like scenes where somebody's experiencing racism, a child should not have to watch that without like being like briefed and told about that. Like that could fuck a kid up. Imagine going into a movie theater not knowing much about like what the
Just like a
50s and
Nazi
60s
movie.
were like,
Yeah.
right? And then being like, oh my grandmother took me to see Life is Beautiful, and I was so scarred because I just didn't know that people were that horrible.
I wonder if the boy in the striped pajamas is PG-13 then, because it is like a very Nazi. It is PG-13. Wow, it's like a children's story, but like it's sort of dark and it's like revolves around Nazis.
Yeah, Mamma Mia 1, it should have been like PG-13. There's a lot of singing and dancing. Obviously, ABBA's songs are pretty clean, but they make a woman feel pretty bad about something that she shouldn't feel bad about. She was living her life. And that all fits in that tiny little box that says under PG-13. It's just like a big thing about like she was young
It's just
and
like
she
synopsis
met
in the ratings box.
and like I don't see why it's such a big problem.
They should have more fun with those rating boxes.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's ones that I see and they're like, huh. I'm like, huh, that's a funny way to describe something that happens in that movie.
I think that's our new thing. Brunch ratings.
Yes.
It's just whatever the rating is, and then says like. I also that it says like may contain like
like,
sexual
what do
themes.
you mean?
Have you seen the movie or not? Who should I ask? If not you, the rating, who should I ask whether or not this contains sexual themes?
I think this had sexual themes, but I zoned out like halfway through. I had popcorn. I don't know. It was a whole thing.
Speaking of popcorn, I am playing hurt because I went to the movies today, saw a movie. Won't say what it is.
You already
Let's
did.
just say it was long and fucking boring. And I just got up in the middle of it, and I was like, I'm not even hungry, but I'll get something. So I got popcorn, went back to my seat, was eating it, and I was like, if this isn't some bland popcorn, I'm gonna get back up, and none of these were during pee times. I was taking joy rides during this movie.
The good thing about First Man, and we'll get to it, but
You know what happens.
is like 70% of pee time.
Oh yeah, that is. You were whizzing left and right. I got up and I put some butter on the popcorn, which I never do.
Yeah,
and then I was like,
that's not for me.
while I'm here, I'll throw a little salt on there. I have felt dreadful all day. How does anyone ever do that? People who put butter and stuff and the fixins on their popcorn, let us know. I've just been pumping water into me. I've been like, I have an IV going on. And it's not like a DJY dietary thing because I've still been eating like absolute garbage. I don't think anything has made me feel as bad as eating that.
I think that if like buttered popcorn at the movies came pre-packaged,
Yeah.
I would do it more. But the fact that I have to witness them literally take like a rusty old pump.
No, well,
and-
you do it yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you do it yourself, and it is.
Well, I just never get it.
It's not
anymore.
butter. It
No,
doesn't
it's
taste
gross.
like butter. It tastes like good, but like it's just so clearly,
It's clearly
not butter.
the worst thing that you could
that you
ever
don't
put in
like.
your body.
Right. So my other point about seeing Mamma Mia 2 a couple times over the weekend, we never really talked about the sexiest moment in film history because that exists in Mamma Mia 2.
That's not true. I can already tell you because it won't beat the Kelly Rohrbach party dress scene from Baywatch.
It's up there. Well, so that was sex between the viewer and Kelly
Yes,
Rohrbach
yes.
and the viewer.
Yes.
It's mainly sex between the viewer and themselves watching that. This is sex between two people who don't even have sex for a little while. I'm talking about why did it have to be me when they're on the boat? Bill takes her on the boat. He's singing to her. And then she starts to sing the I was so lonely, I was blue, da 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 da, it had to be you. And he's like, and she's kind of like making some sexy moves. And then she pulls him up, and during the I only wanted a little love affair, they do this thing. You know what I'm talking about? The like knees
They change.
they're like doing this, but they're like moving like. She's like
basically,
pushing
like,
him
grind
back.
walking.
They are doing this grind walk dance thing that I'm sure like it's a learnable dance, but just oh my god, how sexy! You don't remember what I'm talking about?
No, no clue. All I remember from that scene is that it is literally the scene
the
from Always
implication.
Sunny.
Yeah, it's
The
not
implication, yeah.
One of my friends actually, we were talking about that movie, and I brought up like, "Yo, is that not the sexiest scene ever?" And she was like, "Oh my god, that's my favorite part of the movie. That shit is so sexy." And she was like, and she said that Bill, young Bill, is the best. And I was like,
Young Bill's the creepiest for sure.
"Sweet, oh no, he's the best." I was like, "Do you think that's a take?"
Yeah, but he's the creepiest.
I don't know. I think that
He's the
young
creepiest.
Harry qualifies as the creepiest.
He's the creepiest. Young Harry's the most desperate.
Right, because like discomfort and creepy kind of go together, and
guess.
nobody's giving you discomfort.
I think that Harry had better intentions.
Harry was like, "Please have
Yeah.
sex with me. I need. If you don't have sex with me, I'm
a
gonna
sad
die."
boy.
Right.
Yes. But young Bill was like, have sex with me or you're going to drown in this ocean.
Yeah, right. He leaned into the Yeah, I'm not disputing that Bill was creepy. They were all creepy. I mean, those two were creepy. Really, the only one that wasn't
they're
creepy was
guys,
Sam,
so.
and he was the biggest asshole
Yes,
of the
yeah.
three. Let me see if I can find this. Why did it have to be me, Mamma Mia? Because I'm going to be... This always happens. When you look up something, and it has like a... I can't tell.
The thumbnail.
Is that right? Is that thumbnail? It's a picture of them on the boat, and I don't know
But
if.
it's probably not from the video.
Let's see. We got a little advertisement situation.
They should make it illegal for YouTube to have thumbnails that aren't directly from the video.
Yeah,
Illegal.
this is gonna make me. Oh yes. Okay. You were looking for someone to hold. It's only natural, but why did it have to be me? All right, here she goes. So this part's pretty sexy. It's getting very sexy.
Lily James is in
yeah.
it, so yeah.
All right, you ready for some sexiness?
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Oh, yeah, all right,
come
all right,
on.
all right.
And then
that's pretty good. All right, yeah. I don't know how you just don't lay out on the boat right there and just get the deed done. The fact that
Right,
they even waited.
well, they didn't have sex on that boat trip. I don't think
I think
so.
they did in the middle of the night.
No, the get over here thing was when after Sam leaves and he comes back after they sing Mamma Mia, and young Walters is none too happy because she doesn't
That's
fancy
true.
him. She thinks he's the most beautiful man in the
Yes.
world, and she says, "Oh well, she's sad. You know what I do when I'm sad?
Eat cake.
I eat cake."
Yep.
And then she calls baklava cake, and she doesn't even call baklava. She says they've got this cake over there called baklava. Remember that?
Nope.
You don't?
This is clearly so fresh in your brain.
Yeah.
Although I saw it like 2 weeks ago. My
Man.
memory just stinks.
Are you going to get it?
Yeah, for sure.
You should get it on DVD.
I'm going to get it in physical copy.
Right. Yeah.
I need a portable access Mamma Mia wherever I go.
Honestly, I'm gonna pull a Dawson's Creek. I'm gonna get like a portable DVD player just in case anything happens. If the grid goes down,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, well,
I've never been like a big digital download guy. Like when they package that with the physical copy,
Yeah.
I would love it if it came with Mamma Mia because my computer doesn't have a CD-ROM drive.
ooh, yeah. I've got like a bunch of where I have all my records. I just have like those cards
Yeah.
scattered about.
Yeah, it's like I have Apple Music. I don't need your digital download, but thanks.
Yeah, I have Apple Music and Spotify.
Yes.
I don't need your digital download. Speaking of which, very, very sorry if I didn't push this enough on here, but the Kim Petras Halloween EP was amazing. And now its time is probably done because who's going to listen to a Halloween EP after Halloween?
Great timing.
But it's really good. It's like a lot of it's like very dancey and great, but a lot of it is like creepy and dying and stuff like that. And as a Father John Misty fan, I love songs about dying. So, what else do I have written down before we get to some of these movies? When we were at the bar this weekend, it was kind of the first time in a while that I've really been in the thick of like young adults out and drinking and trying
That's
to
been a
like
while.
trying to meet each other and stuff. And we were it was kind of cool because we were kind of separate from all that. We were all doing our own thing. If there's one thing that's changed, it was argued to me that this has not changed and this has always been the way, and I just didn't know this. I was very impressed by the behavior, big surprise here, of young men at bars. It was a very crowded place. A lot of people were coming through and pushing and bumping into each other and everything. I did not encounter one young man who did not reach ahead, give a double tap to say, like, hey,
coming
just
through.
I'm sorry
On your
that
left.
right, like I'm sorry, and like there was a lot of usually young men say you're good.
Yeah.
They'll say like, "Oh, you're
oh,
good,
you're good,
you're good." But sometimes it's like a little like, "You good?" which happens in mid '90s when fuck shit sees Stevie's little brother and he's like, "What's up? You good?" Like it's that's
It's an aggressive you good.
right. This was nothing but friendly you goods, and I don't know if it's just that now finally young men are being raised to learn like, hey, if you're an asshole, someone might actually call you an asshole.
Like there are consequences for that now.
And like don't be an asshole, please. It seemed like just a collection of people who were really on their best behavior, and all these people were drinking.
Yes, there was a lot of nice gentlemen at this establishment.
I would love for my daughter to marry any one of them.
The women, not so much.
So that was the point that was raised.
I was bodied by a couple ladies.
So I pointed out, like, hey, is it me or are these guys not assholes? And Ellen was like, oh, no, the only mean people here are women. And I was like, well, I don't know that that's true. And she was like, think of every person who's, like, run you over or crashed into you. And I was like, was I don't know if that was always the case. I think that maybe just when we were younger, everyone was assholes. Probably. I don't know. It's weird being on the
I think
outside
when
of it.
I was younger, that I was the asshole.
Probably,
So-
yeah.
So now that I've sort of grown out of that, I'm taking notice of it more. But it was great on Saturday. It
Yeah.
was one of the very few times in Boston. That's why I don't go into the city very much into like those crowded ass bars because
Yeah.
I just don't really do well with people fucking pushing me around all night
Yeah, my plan was really find a place with TVs
and the room to
and,
breathe.
and watch some baseball, and we did that, and like they had pool tables in there and everything. Honestly, we've probably aged, or at least I have kind of aged out of the scene in which we found ourselves. But we had a great time. There was a guy there who I was like, "Hey, is that costume what I think it is?" And he was like, I don't. I actually didn't wear a costume. Sorry. And he was just this kind of like geeky looking guy, and we were like, "Dude, just tell everyone you're Jack Antonoff."
He looked exactly
looked
like
a lot
Jack
like Jack
Antonoff.
Antonoff. Yeah.
And he was like, "No, this is my look." And I was like, "Ooh, probably not gonna like you."
Right. Like, oh, okay. Well,
There was a guy as well who was about 6'10", and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, are you Paddington?" And I was like, "Of course I'm Paddington. What did you think I was going to dress as, pal
Yeah.
who doesn't know me?" And he goes, "That's amazing. Can I hug you?" And he just hugged me.
really?
Yeah, and then he walked away. It was hilarious.
You got some hugs.
I got a random stranger hug. That's the Paddington effect. It was unbelievable.
Nice. Let's talk about these movies, but first, let's talk about losing your hair. Don't want to do it, but 66% of fellas lose their hair by age 35. It's pretty gross. And by the time they notice it, everyone else is already talking about it. It's easier to keep the hair you have than to replace the hair you've lost. So if that hairline's slowly starting to move backwards, you're seeing bald spots, I ask you, do you want that bald spot? You want to do something about it? You want that hairline going like it's Jerry Rice with cornrows? Or you want to do something about it? Why do guys turn to weird solutions, such as, I don't know,
Snake
oil, gas station supplements, when they can turn to medicine and science? The solution? That's for Hims. For Hims.com, it's a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness for men. So, you're the audience, and I'm on my Tony Robbins shit, quite frankly. I'm going to motivate you. I'm going to say that thanks to science, baldness can be optional. For Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss, well-known generic equivalents to name-brand prescriptions that will help you keep hair. No snake oil pills, no gas station counter supplements. If you want the gas station counter supplements, you're going to have to go to a gas station because For Hims is giving you the real good stuff. Prescription solutions backed by science. There's no waiting room. We bring the doctors to you. Save hours by going to forhims.com. It's so easy. So order now. These listeners of ours, they get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today, right now, while supplies last. See the website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Lord knows what it would cost if you went to a gas station. Go to forhims.com/brunch. That's forhims.com/brunch. forhims.com/brunch.
Here's something I got to tell you. In
What?
the new Red Dead Redemption game, they literally have snake oil as something that you can ingest.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to get it a few days ago or a few whiles ago, and I was told it takes hours to install.
Yeah, it's like a massive installation, like size-wise, like 100 gigabytes or something. So it takes a couple hours to. So yeah, it takes a couple hours to install.
So I didn't get it. Little did I know, my roommate on Friday had left for the weekend and downloaded it before he left. So it would be ready by the time he got back on Sunday, which if
Smart.
you're a Mitch Hedberg fan, he says, I made a baked potato. I don't want a baked potato right now, but by the time it's ready, who knows? It's a great joke about how long it takes to make baked potatoes. And I was like, oh, did you play this first game? And he was like, no, I just saw everyone was talking about it. And by the time it was ready, who knows? Maybe I'd want to play it. So I have the game now. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but everyone seems pretty jazzed about it.
It's an unbelievable game. You should definitely play it.
Nice. So we saw bunch of movies. We saw. We'll talk about First Man. Let's talk about that first because it'll
It's
probably be
First
the quickest. Yeah. It was Damien Chazelle and Ryan Gosling, which should be a great movie, and maybe it was a great movie. I couldn't tell. It was too long and boring.
I think this was a great movie in the way that a lot of people think that Darkest Hour was a great movie. Like it is.
Ugh.
It's.
I still have no clue what Darkest Hour was.
It is the boring parts of Dunkirk.
Yes.
And
yeah.
So maybe they'll make an interesting part of First Man on the moon.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like it. I got such a weird feeling when I left the theater after that. Like I didn't have a lot of takeaways. It was sort of boring. Like I just wasn't that invested in it. It didn't blow me away, but it also wasn't bad. And like I was entertained the whole time.
Yeah.
It just nothing really.
I
nothing,
was
like,
too, except I was
spectacular
bored the
happened.
whole time, so I wasn't entertained.
Okay.
Like I didn't hate the movie, but it was boring.
A lot
Kyle
of it was
Chandler was in it. Minimal sweat out of him. He was more sweating stuff because he was one of the
He's
NASA people.
worried.
Yeah, quite worried. The wife was worried a lot. The kids. Ryan Gosling got tired of his kids eventually. Quite frankly,
Yeah.
didn't blame him.
That
I got
that
tired of
was
the
just-
kids too.
Yeah. He just got really sick and tired of like his entire family.
It made me
life.
think like Neil Armstrong must have been a jerk, and they didn't want to point out that Neil Armstrong's a jerk, so they turned him into a jerk right before he went to the moon to be like, oh, it was a moon related.
They just the moon does that to people.
Yeah.
The moon was in retrograde.
That's why he had to be in quarantine after. Also, worst quarantine in the world. So after
Oh my
you get
God,
back from the
I
moon,
wrote that down
They
in my
put you in
notes.
quarantine.
You just sent this guy to the moon. He's the first guy that's ever been on the fucking moon.
Right.
Just risked his life. You threw him in a shabby ass quarantine.
Well, it's
with
like a
jack shit in there.
lame quarantine, but also when they walk him into his room at the quarantine thing, there are people just like showing him to his room and stuff. I'm like, what happens to those guys? They should have to go in quarantine right now.
They're expendable.
Right. Apparently.
Yeah. So I mean, I think
Guy from Almost Famous was expendable. He was in the movie constantly, and I was like, why wasn't this
Oh,
guy
that's
billed
right.
as being in this?
Yes,
and then I was
that's
like,
right.
oh, I bet it's because he must die really soon, and then he did.
a lot of people die in this movie. A lot more people died than I expected.
More
honestly.
deaths in this than in Halloween.
That's true. That might be true.
Yeah.
That honestly might be true. I think you.
Halloween is probably like 11
first
or 12.
Halloween.
No, I'm sorry. The
first
newer
Halloween. There's more in First Man than there is in the first Halloween.
I was keeping track, or kind of loosely, of the deaths in the new Halloween, and there were a lot more than I remembered there being the first time. I thought that it was like a 5 or 6
Yeah,
thing.
man, he gets like a 5 or 6 count before he even gets to
Right,
any of
like
the
he
main
racks up probably
characters.
20. Yeah.
So yeah, I think like this is. I thought it was like a very like well shot and well like aesthetically pleasing movie.
Yeah.
Like the spaceship scenes were fucking unbelievable. I thought.
I have one issue with the aesthetics.
on.
Why didn't they go during the day instead?
Yeah, I don't know if you know how space works.
You ever think about that?
Your space knowledge doesn't seem to be great.
They seriously.
Yeah.
Like every shot that you see of like someone
pretty
on the
dark.
moon is always at night, and I know it looks cool because the glow of the moon
Yeah.
glows a little more.
Yeah.
But can we have just
Just say, hey,
one
mate,
during the day?
flick a lamp on.
Right? Yes. No. Just when the sun's out, go then.
Yeah.
Maybe
I know.
maybe bring a Kenmore grill, flip a couple burgers.
Just have a nice little day drink.
Yeah. Why don't you bring a picnic to the
To the
moon?
moon.
Yes.
Nice.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, that's a good call. I can't argue with you there.
Yeah. They should go during the day.
I think that like the sound editing was fucking unbelievable. The shots from inside the rocket when they get launched are great. It's just like I think that like I've never been as claustrophobic during a movie as I was during the rocket scenes from that movie. It's just like a lot of shaking, a
Yeah.
lot of like noise rattling in
That
your
was really
ears and
all I
stuff.
cared about.
What?
Like what that's all I was really looking forward to. Once it settled into being a long and boring movie, I was like, all right, just give me more launches.
Yeah, I mean,
Give me-
I don't really care about Lance Armstrong's story
yeah, like
or Neil Armstrong's.
yeah, Lance Armstrong. No, well, I feel like they tried to tell Neil Armstrong's story,
I don't
but
care.
like didn't know. Like they didn't do it. They spent 1 second on his daughter, which was this horribly sad thing that would stick with a person. And they even bring up early in the movie when they're asking him, when they're interviewing him to potentially be in the Gemini mission, will your daughter dying have an effect on you? And he's like, of course. And they just don't do anything with his family. They scale his family back so much. And I joked about like maybe he was bored with the kids or whatever, but you either make that a part of the story or not. So I feel like you said they told his story and you didn't really care about it. I think it's because they didn't really tell his story. They did it
Right, I
so
wasn't invested.
minimally that you don't. Right. By the end, when he does the thing with the bracelet, it's nice, but you're like, man, you guys really skipped over that.
Yeah, it's for like a 2.5 hour movie. I think that if you're gonna go 2.5 hours, you really have to go in depth on like one aspect of it. Where, like, coming away from that movie, I don't feel like I learned a lot about anything really that happened.
Right. I learned a line that I'm going to steal from that movie. He's outside. They're at this gathering with some friends and stuff, and he's outside and he's just looking at the moon, and he's been out there a while. And one of his friends goes up to him and he's like, "Hey, why don't you go inside, be with your kids?" And he said, "Do you think I came out here because I want to talk to somebody?" And I was like, "I'm gonna do that next time." Next time someone's like, "Hey, you okay? You want to go?" I'm gonna be like, "Hey, you think I walked away from you so you could talk to me?" I would have said, "Text me" or something. You know,
that was a bit of a dagger, that line.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a lot of strong thoughts on First Man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not very good. There was one cool moment. When they're about to go to the moon, Kyle Chandler is being read the letter that they're going to send out to the press when they die, and he reads them the whole thing, and they're getting ready for the mission and everything, and the guy reads it to him and says, "Any thoughts?" And Kyle Chandler says, "That's fine." But he says it in such a this is the last fucking
Right,
thing I
yeah,
care
yeah.
about. Like we're working on a thing
We're
right
about
now.
to send somebody to the moon.
Like
don't
I
need
am
to hear.
busy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna read your little your drivel.
Well, it was like it's also a sense of like, hey, this is what's going to happen if
you
you fail.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I realized, like, as this movie got closer to release, and we saw it like a week after it came out, I just realized that I wasn't that interested in it.
Yeah, I put it
I
off.
thought that
Yeah.
I thought that I was like, I thought that I was, because I love
It's
I love
Gosling and Giselle, yeah.
And then eventually I just realized that, like, I really don't care about a Neil Armstrong movie, especially we all fucking know what
Right.
happens.
Well, that's the biggest thing. I love movies that are based on a true story
That I don't know.
You don't completely know. Only the Brave was unbelievable because I didn't know that those guys died at
Yeah.
the end, and then when they all died, it gutted me, and it was this unbelievable movie watching experience the whole time. Like, whenever they fail and they have to come back and the mission goes wrong and everything, I'm like, well, why are they so upset? They're just going to land on the moon later.
Yeah, I know. And it
Stop sweating the small stuff, boys.
Yeah, when you know the final destination, and you know that it's coming, and you have to sit through 2.5 hours of them just being like, "Are we gonna make it to the moon? Is this gonna work? Is this gonna go? What's gonna go wrong?
Yeah.
Am I gonna see my kids again?" It's like, yes, just fucking hurry up and get there. And so it was just like it was too long-winded for me.
The guy from House of Cards was good as Buzz Aldrin.
was.
Honestly, the one thing I learned that was that Buzz Aldrin was super annoying.
Yeah,
Like nobody liked
he
Buzz
was a
Aldrin.
dick, yeah.
He was like really socially awkward, and
Would just say
he
the
would
most
say
inappropriate
the
things
wrong
at wakes
thing,
and funerals.
and then as soon as he said the wrong thing, he would look around and double down.
right, the worst part about it, like like his fucking shitty ass comments was like, Yeah, I know that they were shitty, but you're all thinking them.
Right, yeah, and he said that. He was like, I'm just saying what everyone's thinking,
Yeah.
and Armstrong's like, maybe don't.
Yeah. Also, this one I think it was a bit disappointing because I don't think that I expected Neil Armstrong to be like this fucking witty, charming guy.
Oh, real boring.
But I always want that from
Just
Ryan
a rubbish
Gosling.
quote. Right, that's what Gosling's supposed to be.
Yeah, and so like I think that was a big reason why I didn't like Drive the first time that I saw it was because Gosling was so dry and quiet and like not personable at all.
But Gosling can be messed up. Like he,
In
what's
a
the
Place Beyond the Pines.
Oh yeah, but what's the one with Michelle Williams? Blue Valentine?
I don't
Is
think I've
that
seen
it?
that one.
He's like in a bad relationship, and he ends up like kind of losing it. But he's great.
Right, he can play like a fucked up character, but like I feel like in Drive, and I later came around on Drive, but I feel like in this one for sure, like just there wasn't a lot from him, and he wasn't bad. It was
I don't
just
think
like
I've seen Drive. Is that the one with Paul Walker?
yes,
Nice.
that's Drive 2. Too fast.
Too fast to drive.
Yes.
Too fast to drive.
Is
It's-
followed
no,
by
it's-
Too
it's-
Dead to Drive.
It's number two,
Yes.
fast, T-O, drive.
yes.
Too fast to drive.
All right, what are you stamping first, man?
Boring with an exclamation point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna say fine.
Yeah.
like, it was fine. I was originally that I was hoping because this is getting like Oscar buzz and all that shit, and it was a huge release, but it was just not. It didn't live up to the hype for me.
Well, the good news is we saw other movies that we're going to hear the word love from at least
Oh,
one of
yeah.
us on each of these movies. The Old Man, the Gun, and Mid-90s. What are we doing next?
Let's do The Old Man and the Gun.
Nice.
This movie
Before he
flew-
dies.
Yes, this movie flew under the radar, like big time.
Yeah.
And the biggest curse of my life over the past couple of months is just that nobody has fucking seen this movie.
Yeah, I was after I saw it, I thought of like a great SNL skit that they should do, but I was like, it won't land. No one's
nobody's
seen
seen the movie.
or even like knows the premise. This was a very, very, very deeply cute movie.
Yes, it was very cute. It was it had a very different and very fun spin on like a bank robbery movie.
Right. So it's Robert Redford plays a dying man, probably.
He's old, so
he's
yes.
an old man who goes around robbing banks. And Casey Affleck. I realized as I was watching, I was like, it's because Casey Affleck.
Do you think that's why they didn't like promote it?
I would not be surprised if like just people didn't see it because Casey Affleck. People really they turned on Casey Affleck. Brie Larson didn't give him his award. Remember? No, she didn't. She presented him an award, and when he won it, she was like, "Fucking here."
Well, I mean,
Fucking threw it at
I mean,
him.
the stuff that came out with Casey Affleck was pretty bad. But Joaquin Phoenix hasn't got the same treatment.
What did Joaquin Phoenix do?
I think they were both like together on these like accusations.
So they were
That
like
they
were,
treated people
like,
very
harassing girls on set
yeah,
together.
during because there was the movie that they did together. It was the Joaquin Phoenix one.
Yeah, the David Letterman one.
Yes, yeah, that one. So I guess like they were both enabling / participating in the harassment.
So I had to look up what he did, and yeah, so he was just spending his days on set saying, "Come here, girl," kind of holla, and doing all that stupid shit.
I think that I remember like reading that like one of them locked a girl in a bedroom with the other one and like sort of like forced her to stay in there.
Jesus.
It was a lot of bad shit. So
Not good. So maybe that's why people didn't want to see
maybe.
this movie. I did not know that Casey Affleck was in it.
Oh yeah, sure.
No, I seriously didn't.
Way to fucking way to have no backbone, pal.
Right? Yeah. But
Spineless.
Robert Redford was great. Everybody in it was great. I mean,
Very good.
It's Danny
Sissy Spacek?
Spacey.
Yes, Sissy Spacey. A deeply problematic movie.
Yes, right. This was between Affleck and Spacey.
Robert Redford,
Don't say-
clear communist.
Terrific movie. Don't go support this movie though. Wait, what's Robert Redford's deal?
Communist, because he's red.
Oh, nice.
Nailed it.
Cool. Well, also Republican.
Ooh, yeah. Is that the Republican color?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Yeah, like a red state.
Yeah, no, I know that. I know like the color thing. I just didn't know which one was associated with which.
Oh yeah,
Not a
those
big
those
politics guy.
bozos wear red ties. Right.
Yeah.
So
And the red hat.
So communist Republican
And just
and
old.
Casey Affleck. Don't even need to say anymore there. A lot of stuff you don't want to see. But he's Redford's great in it. Affleck is kind of what he always is. Not to say that he's not a good actor, but I'm saying like his character was similar to so many of his characters.
Yeah, like he's like sad and mopey.
right, a little
And-
frustrated.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I thought everybody was pretty good, but the
Tom Waits.
what'd
love
you
him.
think? What'd you think?
Well, he wasn't in it a ton.
I know,
but
it's like
I love him.
I told you that Tom Waits was in this movie, and you got so fucking excited.
No, I know. You told me to see. You said Old Man and the Gun is the best, and then I looked up what it
right.
was, and I was like, was Tom Waits in it? And you were like, yes, he was great. I was like, what is this movie? And then the Hellmouth guys said like, yeah, he X.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And so I didn't want to tell you. Got so excited that Tom Waits was in this movie. I didn't
Yeah.
want to tell you that he wasn't
Not
in
really.
it very much. yeah. Neither was Danny Glover, really.
Yeah.
But like the dynamic and the chemistry between Robert Redford and Sissy Spacek
Oh, yeah.
was unbelievable.
She was
scenes
lovely
were
in it.
Their
Yeah.
scenes were great. This was if you're going into this movie like hoping for like a lot of bank robbery and like a
Yeah.
lot of like action,
It's as
not gonna
light
happen.
a bank robbery movie as you could possibly
Right.
see. The comparison I keep making is it's Chef with old people.
Yes, it is, and it is as light on.
Like I'm gonna watch this a million times, like I watch Chef. It's just like a warm movie.
yeah, it is. It for sure is like a feel good, feel happy while watching it. There's so many like great, wonderful scenes that make you feel warm inside.
Yeah.
And it is as light a gun movie as a movie with a gun in the title.
Right.
There's
Guns are not fired in this movie.
No. But I loved it. I thought that it was fucking unbelievable. There's one scene where Robert Redford rides a horse, and it
Oh,
is
yeah.
the fucking
Red-
most beautiful.
Red bed selection.
Yes, it is the most beautiful scene with a great soundtrack. It's
Yes,
I've
very
been
good
thinking
soundtrack.
about it forever.
Yeah. It's and it looks great. He's this guy that robs banks by showing them a gun, calmly saying that he's robbing them, and then he charms his way through the robbery, and the witnesses always say to the police, well, he seemed like a nice enough guy and stuff like that. And he wears these brilliant blue suits that just he looks unbelievable. As good an old person as an old person can look. He looked just sensational. She looked great. Everybody, they weren't in a lot, but Danny Glover and Tom Waits had a very cute
Dynamic.
rapport. Yeah,
Like the three old guys. Like I feel like that is
They robbed
getting
the banks with him.
super overdone in Hollywood. Like there's been a lot of movies over the past
this
couple
is
of years
a
where it's
way
like
more fun version
three
of
old
going
guys.
out in style.
Yes, yeah, and so
Robbing
I thought,
banks in style.
Yes, I thought that it was very very good. My big fat robbing banks in style movie. But
The banks we robbed list.
huh?
The banks we robbed list.
Yes.
The list of banks we robbed.
I felt a little less comfortable with the movie after finding out at the end that it was like a true story.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
I didn't know that really, and I guess it's not super like problematic,
like
but it was like a very romanticized telling of this guy's life, who was like
This guy was
literally
a criminal. Oh yeah.
bank robber. But at the end of the day, he didn't really hurt anybody. This dude just fucking loved robbing banks.
Okay, so you're an idiot. You fell into you're like, I feel bad that I thought he was a good guy. I never thought he was a good guy. He was. The movie starts with him robbing a bank.
Yeah, but I like, who the fuck
He's
cares?
a criminal.
Yeah, but like he is a criminal who is nice to people, and he robs banks. I don't care about banks. Banks rob us all the time.
So how does that hold up in court if somebody robs
not
a
saying
bank
it. I'm not
with
saying
a
it holds
gun and they're like, oh well, he was nice.
I'm not saying it holds up in court, but like he's not a murderer criminal. there are different classes and genres of criminals.
If your listeners are going to go rob banks now because
Hey, as long as they pay a nice compliment and make people feel good about themselves, go for it.
Okay, we got to get you
bank robbing.
some
Pro
movie
bank robbing
watching,
podcast.
understanding lessons. What would you stamp this?
I'm gonna stamp it. Loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, I will say very cute. How do you think it was a great movie though?
No, like I think that
Yeah,
it
me
was.
neither.
I'm not gonna say that it was one of the best movies of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It was for sure one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, so far I would agree.
I think that it just like appealed to like a lot of my interests. It had like a great soundtrack, looked great, was had a awesome like lovey dynamic between
Mm-hmm.
the two main characters who are old, and I usually hate old characters,
Yep.
but they did it for me. It was awesome, and it was just an easy watch that I can probably watch over and over again for like years to come. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I loved it.
I will watch that a lot as well. Mid 90s How's a Boot. Now this is one I will jump out and say I loved it. Like loved it. Really loved it. I've seen it twice. It was really great. Good job, Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill, I was very intrigued to see what his first movie would be, because if you've ever seen Jonah Hill in like interviews and everything, and if you saw the thing where when he got in trouble, when he dropped a hard F on the camera guy, like,
I don't remember that.
oh yeah, there was a guy that was like, there was like a TMZ guy that was like really harassing him and saying some like really not nice things, and Jonah Hill wasn't saying a word, and then eventually he said, "Suck my D, you F," and it was like bad, and
Sounds it.
right. And
A lot of hard F's in this movie as well.
right,
But
so no,
reflective
but
of the time.
the point I'm making, obviously, and Jonah Hill was like, he obviously knew that this was being recorded and everything, and he was like mortified, and he just seems like a very vulnerable person.
Mm-hmm.
So I was interested to see what his first go of writing and directing a movie, when he's always said that like he didn't want to be an actor, or he didn't necessarily want to be an actor. His goal was to be a director.
Yeah.
And then once he became an actor, he intentionally didn't start directing because he didn't want to be like the actor who cuts an album, you know, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm doing both these things now. So this was his first kick at the can, and it's about an 11-year-old kid who's just trying to fit in with a group of kids. Skateboarding is the kind of medium there in the mid-90s, and it just conveyed, it was very short, under 90 minutes. It conveyed just how boys in the 90s were, and that's not necessarily a good thing. As you said, there's like a lot of homophobia, there's a lot of it's like brimming with toxic masculinity. And I think that it was gutsy that he was willing to earnestly convey that, because I haven't read any big reactions. I know that it's only got like an 80 on Rotten Tomatoes, which I thought it would be
It's
a
lower
lot.
than that now. I think it's like a 78.
Really?
Which
Yeah.
it's crazy that it's not like at least like hovering around 90. To
Yeah,
me,
I'm
because
wondering why people other than like if they just didn't like that was conveyed, but it
it's-
was that was like a real ass look.
It's a movie that is called Mid 90s.
Yeah.
About the mid 90s.
yeah.
And that shit is
And, like, boy,
very
like-
reflective
Yeah.
of young boys,
Yeah.
how they would act in that time, especially like this circle of boys.
Yeah, they're misfits.
So, I mean, I fucking loved it. I think that it like sort of got a lot of the things right that that eighth grade did too, like with that age and sort of like the insecurities that you have and like where you're vulnerable. I think that it is a movie that will be relatable to a lot of people like when they were that age.
Yeah, a lot of coming of age movies. I tweeted this right after I saw it. A lot of coming of age movies have come out over the last few years, and
And
I
what's
feel like
his
that's
name
like
has been in all of them.
oh
The,
yeah,
the kid from mid '90s,
Lucas Hedges.
Yeah,
yeah. a lot. I feel like not necessarily it's like the cheap way to get people to say your movie was all the feels, but it's like automatic.
It is. Yeah.
It's like if you're a writer, write a feature. If you want people to compliment, say that you did a great job, just write a feature because it's really hard to mess up a feature unless you absolutely suck. And that's what I feel like coming of age films are. I think that this is the best one of that group that's come out
In the past 2 years?
Since starting with maybe not necessarily going back to like I would say
Lady Bird?
way before it, like Brooklyn, Lady Bird. What was the other one? I haven't seen Eighth Grade, so that's a big
You
omission.
haven't seen Eighth Grade?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. I liked this better than Eighth Grade, but they're two very different movies in the way that they approach the coming of age. Like Eighth Grade is a very cringe heavy sort of like coming of age movie, so it's kind of a difficult watch. Where this one isn't really like it's more like brutal than it is like cringeworthy. So I liked this one a lot more, but I know that Eighth Grade has fucking gotten a ton of praise from basically everybody.
I also liked this more. Also, probably just because I'm a boy and I could relate to.
I'm a boy.
Yeah,
I'm a real boy.
So like part of me not loving Lady Bird as much as everybody else. Like I thought that Lady Bird was like very good, and then people started talking about it like it was the greatest movie in the world, and I was like, there are some. There are some areas where it could have been better, but I think that obviously I'm just going to relate to like a little kid trying to fit in with a group of friends more so than like a high schooler arguing with their parents, because I was kind of done arguing with my parents by the time I was in high school anyway. So like Lady Bird was like my middle school, except it was done by high schooler. So I guess what I'm saying is I was a lot more mature than Lady Bird. But yeah, this it was good. It didn't bite off more than it could chew.
No, definitely not. It was like 85 minutes.
Right.
I thought that it was I think that was my biggest takeaway from this movie, was that it's an 85-minute movie, and it will pack as hard and as heavy a punch as you'll find an 85-minute movie ever make.
Yeah, you get the relationship with his brother, which he has like this really bad relationship with his brother, but where they just still kind of exist together, and they fight, and he's making all these new friends, and the character Ray, which is like the king of the misfits that he hangs out with, is unbelievable. Like so good. Best talking to scene, I would say, since the end of Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
Where he sits, this kid who's a skateboarder, by the way. Most of these people were not actors. The kid who plays Ray, Nakel Smith, who also does stuff with Odd Future, I think, sits him down after his mother like embarrasses him in front of all his friends and says like, you guys aren't to see this kid ever again. He sits him down and like gives him this talking to about how like everyone has problems, and he talks about his life, and he talks about the group one by one and all the issues that they have. And this kid he's the coolest one. He's the only one in the group who tries.
Yes.
He's the only like driven person, and they all make fun of people who try. And he's like constantly saying like, I want to like make something of myself. And he takes this little kid under his wing. This kid's probably like, I don't know, like 16 and really cool. The main character is 11 and tiny and is smoking cigarettes and stunning his growth. So this kid's an absolute
Drinking
disaster.
40s.
Right.
Taking drugs.
Right. And this kid is just like such a good influence in this scene of bad influences.
Yeah, and I mean it was so fucking necessary to have this character and to do this character so well, because like you said, like in the movie they're all just like fucking shitheads.
Yeah.
They are shitheads, and like they are the worst, almost the worst reflection of like the 90s as you could possibly find in teenagers. And so to have that like one pillar that is basically like, all right, fucking relax, this isn't cool,
right,
to all these kids, like that was so necessary for the movie, because that says like the movie, that's the movie saying, we know that this like isn't cool.
Yeah.
But we but we need it as like a
He's like the beacon light.
reflecting
Yeah.
the period.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He was awesome. Obviously all the movies haven't come out yet, and I know that this guy's not an actor. I was looking at his credits. The only thing that he's been in other than mid 90s is Loiter Squad, which is the Odd Futures TV show, which is quite funny sometimes. But I would say that he should get a best supporting actor nom.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
he was so good. And the other characters were fun. Again, like you said, they're shitheads. The character Fuck Shit
Yes,
was
yeah.
just an interesting boy. He's this kid with really, really long
Great hair.
Yeah. Every other word out of his mouth is a swear. And
His name is Fuck Shit.
Yep, they get into a. There was a couple cool cameos in the movie. Del the Funky Homo Sapien is in the movie. He plays a homeless guy that they sit down with while they're skating. And the other one is why can't I think of his name? Jared Carmichael?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Why can't
I know it's Carmichael. I don't know the first name.
That's crazy that I can't. I think it is. It's like
Jerod.
Jared Carmichael.
Yeah.
He plays a cop that they all yell at.
A cop
and,
is generous.
Yeah.
He's like a rent-a-cop.
Yeah.
As they call him in the movie. Yeah, I mean, like, they show that scene in the trailers, or like at least a portion of it, and it's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
And it goes on for so much longer in the actual movie.
Right. They're going back at each other, and he's telling Fuck Shit, like, hey, like, stop saying the N-word. I don't know if
you're allowed to say that.
Yeah, like, I don't know if you're black, and like, they go from insulting each other to just, like, saying things that aren't necessarily insults. As they're going back and forth, like, they're yelling at each other, and then Carmichael goes, "You look Samoan."
Just like
Cool
casual
observation.
observations.
Yeah, just like, I think you might be Samoan. He tells him he looks like Sheryl Crow.
Yeah. And the other kid's like, I don't even know who that is.
Right,
but
which, like, he might not know yet who Sheryl Crow is. It was really, really funny. Really good.
Yeah, I mean, there was funny moments.
hits
There
you
was
in the
like
feels.
there was funny moments. There was depressing moments. There was sad moments. There was like moments where you get angry.
Yeah.
It's just like it sort of runs the emotional like gauntlet.
Yeah.
And to do that in 85 minutes, I was like thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, and to pick up from an earlier part of the conversation, it is nice to see, and again, this is based on one bar experience, that kids have gone from in the 90s to being just thoroughly shitheads. And kids are always going to be shitheads. Like, no
Yeah.
matter what...
That's not a time period thing. That is
Right.
a age thing.
Right, but like maybe they won't be as terrible with their words and things like that. I will say that kids in the mid '90s being portrayed that way to the guys at the bar the other night, who none of them were assholes, was a nice little breath of fresh air. Great soundtrack also in this movie.
Wonderful soundtrack. Yeah, I think that's what else do I have? It's the only problem that I sort of had was like that there's like one scene at the very end that is sort of enabled by the character Ray, and I was just like it sort of like didn't fit to me that he allowed it to happen based on like the way that like he acted throughout the entire movie before that. Like he was on the straight and narrow. He was always looking out for the best for like everybody else.
Yeah.
And like the fact that scene was allowed to happen just kind of threw me off a little bit.
I didn't think the ending was very good. It ends kind of abruptly, and I understand that if you're only telling a really short time, it's probably going to end abruptly. But yeah, I'll agree. I thought that the last like 5 to 10 minutes were pretty hurried.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But overall, I really, really liked it.
Excellent movie. What would you stamp it?
I would say really good.
I will say a triumph.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
A triumph.
A triumph.
Man, that kind of sucks because I was going to ask you. One of my questions that I wrote down was, who do you think has had the best directorial debut this year? And
this is better than A Star Is Born.
I know you're not. I figured that you were going to say that, but I was hoping that you had seen Eighth Grade, which is Bo Burnham's directorial debut.
Yeah, but I also wonder. I'm a little skeptical about Eighth Grade because Bo Burnham's also in the. We're not allowed to say anything bad about him because we all love him. And
he's like the white childish Gambino,
woke god. Yeah, he's
where
a little.
Like, everybody's like, it's unfair that he's this talented.
Right.
That's what they say that about. Bo
It's like
Burnham.
no, he's talented and he tries and he does stuff and that's awesome for him.
And he doesn't like put himself in a box.
Right. Yeah.
He does a lot of different shit and he's good at all of it because he's very talented.
Right. So let's just like him, and love him, take it in stride. Let's. Yeah, so I'm a little wary. So if I end up seeing Eighth Grade and I'm like, it's probably because I had some preconceived relax about Bo Burnham going on.
And also I think that you always kind of, not always, but you have a tendency of...
overcorrecting?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that Eighth Grade has gotten a shitload of hype.
Yeah.
And for you to see it now...
Now I'm going to say
after
it's terrible.
Seeing this, and I also just like don't see you doing well with how cringy it is.
Oh, really? Yeah, so what's cool about mid-90s is... there's a lot of like, oh, yikes. Like, so they show, which they didn't need to do, they show a love scene for the 11-year-old, which didn't even come close to needing. And
no, but they I feel like they didn't cross a line or
anything.
Right.
Right.
It was like a very... we know that this is going to be uncomfortable for you. So
They only show the uncomfortable parts.
Yes.
And then he runs out and he tells his friends, like, what exactly he just did, and I'm like, oh, dude.
But that's exactly
that,
what the fuck would happen
right
when that shit does happen, because like when you're that young and you have like your first sexual thing, literally you're trying to tell everybody about it and all the fucking details.
He immediately runs home and tells his older brother that he's a loser because he doesn't get as much P word as him.
It's the best.
And then his brother just
beats the shit out of him.
Crushes him.
Yeah. I love the fact that this movie started off literally had no title scenes other than one that was the A24, but it was a bunch of skateboards,
right?
And it was like very in theme with the movie, and then the movie just immediately starts. I thought that was very cool.
Did you also notice the size of the screen?
Yes, it was not widescreen, so it was like shot like a 90s sort of movie.
Exactly. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the older brother drinks orange juice the whole time.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
I like it. That's there's a term for that where it's like a thing that's
just keeps
tied into the movie that isn't necessary. It's not like a red herring where like a red herring is trying to throw you off.
Yeah.
But just like it's just a thing about that character that they just really
like a peach with Call Me By Your Name.
They really want you to know that they get it in with the fruit.
For next week, we're going to be fucking seeing Bohemian Rhapsody, which comes out this Friday. I think that we're both extremely on the same page about this movie.
Don't want to
where
see it.
we do not want to fucking see it. And it's not that I'm not interested in it. I am interested in it. I just know with very close to certainty that it is going to suck and I'm going to hate it.
Yeah, it's not. I would love to enjoy it, and
I've seen nothing from the previews, absolutely nothing, other than like just I'm interested to see how Rami Malek does. Other than that, I have no interest from anything that I've seen in the previews about like having faith in this movie of delivering a good product.
But there's just so much stuff like that they show that I'm like, that didn't happen.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
not how that happened. That is not how that happened.
Exactly.
And
I told you that's what Mike Ryan wrote from Up Rocks.
Oh, really?
He was like, this is the first biopic that I've ever watched in which literally every scene I was like, that's not how that happened.
Oh, yeah. The what comes next? Well, now comes the operatic section. No, that didn't happen. That's not.
Right.
No.
It's not going to be an authentic story at all. Like from the storytelling to like the actual scenes and stuff like that, it is just going to be I already know that it's going to be like a Wikipedia movie.
Yeah,
It's going
ass.
to tell you the Wikipedia page of Queen.
Gross.